Hello and welcome, whether you are returning or joining this channel for the first time. It is so good to have you. Before we dive into today's video, I do have to address a couple of things here. First, it's obviously been a while since I've uploaded. For those of you who aren't aware, I actually had a pretty severe migraine attack at the end of March and beginning of April, and that's why I didn't post any readings last month. I really tried to get stuff out to all of you, and even after the migraine attack, I was in what's called a postdrome or migraine hangover, and it was really just difficult to express myself, and that's actually what I was having before I had my attack as well. So hopefully if this ever does happen to me again, this was the first time it's ever happened, I'll at least be able to know the signs. However, this sort of does lead me into the second announcement that I feel like I need to make. I really do feel that moving forward, I am going to separate the tarot and astrology into different videos for the signs. So I will still be uploading, and in fact, potentially uploading more. But it really just became very apparent with this migraine attack that I've put myself under so much stress and strain, and I've really tried to fit everything into these neat little boxes, and honestly, it's very challenging for me to do, and I feel like moving forward, I would really like to go back kind of to the root of where I began, where it was more of an intuitive style read, while still also using astrology as well, because I do feel like they're both very useful tools that can help orient a lot of things for us. And so I think sometimes too these messages can get just like repetitive, and of course I feel like whenever I do a tarot reading, it's always going to incorporate astrological elements anyways. That's just how my brain works. But I think it's nice to kind of dial that back and just let that more flow in naturally. So that might be something that may not even be much of a big deal to all of you. Maybe it's just kind of a bigger deal to me because I put a lot of pressure on myself. So I appreciate all the support that you have given this channel, and actually a lot of people did reach out to me, ask me how I was doing, and I really, really appreciate that. If you would like to support this channel, definitely be sure to hit like, subscribe, and the bell notification. That not only helps you stay up to date with what's in the cards for you, but it also helps spread these messages and energies that you may think be helpful for other people. So they're kind of your tools as well. And I do have a link in the description of this video for my website where you can book a personal reading or distance Reiki session, as well as links for all of my other social media accounts. Libra, while I was connecting with your energy, I really felt this beautiful, luminous, light presence around you. And honestly, I really just basked in that for a few minutes. The energy almost felt angelic, or just like very close to source, or that which we call God. It feels like there is a very strong spiritual support team around you this month. So that is something that you can really tap into. I really want to encourage you to do that. Anyways, while connecting with that energy, I was really thinking, what deck do I draw from first? And really trying to figure out, like, what does this resonate the most with? And I actually pulled from the Starseed Oracle first. I don't usually open up with this deck, and the cards that came out were quite interesting because we do have karmic relationships that came out, as well as weight of the world. And the message for karmic relationships is Orion energy, polarity, soul growth, and conflict. And when this card came out at first, I was like, that's interesting with the energy I was just tapping into. But then thinking about the astrology for you this month, Libra, we have a lot moving through Aries that's, shall we say, a little spicy. We have Mars, Mercury, Chiron, and the North Node, where there's a lot of passion, maybe aggression, anger with Mars. There's a lot of communication with Mercury. The North Node is about getting out of your comfort zone, and Chiron is an asteroid which is symbolic of this wounded healer archetype, And so there's a very deep sensitivity here, and a lot of people are going to be reacting from almost like a triggered place. And like how people react to that vulnerability or that sensitivity is going to differ greatly. But I do feel like for you, with all of this happening in your opposite sign of relationships, your seventh house is what Aries represents. There really is a lot of focus on growth through conflict, and that might not feel super comfortable. And then Weight of the World also came in here as well, and the message on this card is about boundaries. Let it go. It's not yours to carry. So I really think that this is just spelling out the energy for you this month, Libra, at least as far as the astrology is concerned. We're going to pull some tarot cards now as well, but this just felt so on the nose. I did actually see perspective at the bottom of the deck here as well. None of this matters. Zoom out and finding common ground. So while there may be some big emotions and some boundaries that need to be navigated, it does feel like you're kind of zooming out here, and like taking some time or space could be something that's very helpful, especially if you do find yourself in maybe some tense or kind of challenging conversations or dynamics this month. What else do we have? Okay, interesting. We do have the Two of Cups in reverse with the Three of Cups in reverse. Interesting to see these two together. Oftentimes this is about not seeing eye to eye. Sometimes this can be about a relationship coming to an end, but this is actually past energy. So I don't want this to freak anybody out. Maybe you're already understanding this karmic relationships card and the Weight of the World card, this need to have boundaries, because there's already been some sort of disruption in relationships for you. A lot of the time, Two of Cups represents a romantic relationship or just a very close one-on-one bond, whereas the Three of Cups is about friendships or sisterhood or siblinghood, that sort of energy. And so it feels like there's been something that's been kind of disrupted in relationships already. Honestly, this is not surprising to see. We were in Aries season through a good portion of April last month. We even had Mercury retrograde in April in the sign of Aries, which was kind of bringing some miscommunications or just kind of reevaluating relationships, the way you connect with the other for you, Libra. And that was just very to the forefront. What's actually interesting is you then go into the Ten of Cups, what you have gained from this energy. And it's like finding harmony. There's almost like, yeah, things kind of broke down a little bit, but actually it feels like there is a way to find harmony or balance again, which is kind of interesting. And even though karmic relationships came in, it does feel like there is growth that is happening through conflict or polarity. And I mean, with all of the astrology last month, there was definitely some disruptions happening in relationships, but it's all about a new beginning because that's ultimately what eclipses bring, and that could really be unfolding for the next 6 months. Maybe there is like a romantic relationship that is growing or deepening or developing during this time. That could be the case with this Ten of Cups, but it's been a challenge, okay? There might be some more tense conversations coming in, again, just sort of looking at the astrology here. But we do have the King of Wands, which is very much about standing in your power. King of Wands is someone who, while very passionate, very fiery, is also very composed with this. Could also be connecting to a Leo energy as well. This is someone who's very passionate, very driven, very determined, sometimes even the energy of like an entrepreneur or someone who's just sort of a leader in some way, or just kind of is an initiator of some kind. Interesting, the Four of Cups. I do get the sense of like disagreement with this Four of Cups in reverse, like not seeing eye to eye, but this is less triggering than what it felt like before. And it's almost like it's okay. Like that's what I'm getting. Like it's okay not to see eye to eye, and in fact it's okay not to be compatible with everybody. Tell us more about this Four of Cups, actually. I want to clarify this. Four of Cups with the Knight of Cups. Some of you might have a secret admirer. There could even be a conflict that's happening with a friend because maybe this friend has feelings for you and there's kind of like this weird dynamic that's been going on. So if someone might be acting kind of jealous or maybe behaving in a way that could be interpreted as jealous, I'm just going to say this person might have some feelings for you and you might not have even noticed. Interesting. That could be a fire sign individual, could also be Pisces, maybe Cancer or Scorpio. Libra, you are making a very interesting choice. Or you're going to kind of be challenged to do this with the Eight of Cups. Because it does feel like there is some need to give yourself some space and some time. And it feels like, yes, there is a resolution or there's healing or there's like something that's developing, but it can't be rushed, is what I get with this card. Eight of Cups has actually showed up for a lot of signs already this month. And a lot of the time this is a card about walking away from situations. It doesn't necessarily mean walking away forever. And in this case, I'm really not getting that vibe so much from you. It's like you're just kind of taking some time to gain perspective. Okay? Why the Eight of Cups? Tell me more about this Eight of Cups. This is interesting because it's like there's this moment where it's like, you feel connected to someone again, or you feel this healing happening. And it's like part of this healing is you being able to still spend time by yourself. Honestly, this is kind of giving like healing from codependency to me. Like an anxious attachment style that can be very clingy or very attached. And like that fear of losing somebody. And it's like now that you're getting this merged feeling or this healing feeling with a relationship, you've healed to a point where it's like not as painful to be apart or not as painful to disagree or not see eye to eye. And I mean, even though Chiron is in Aries and that can be kind of painful, it can bring up old wounds or traumas, it's ultimately for the sake of healing. It's not a bad asteroid. It's not a bad thing in astrology when Chiron is there. It's not always comfortable. But I feel like you're actually really zooming out and gaining some perspective here. I do feel like you're doing some shadow work this month as well, because we are in Taurus season, which is all about kind of your inner resources, your inner energy, and what you invest that into. That could be literally about finances, but it can also be about emotions. Taurus energy is your 8th house, which is about death, rebirth, transformation as well. as well as sex and, again, the way you kind of exchange energy, the way you share some very deep or intrinsic part of yourself that you don't always share with other people. And it's like you're seeing your own patterns very clearly, and you're making changes that are suggesting you're growing or healing. And it doesn't look the way you would think it would, necessarily. We have the World. This is all about new beginnings, new cycles, new chapters. You've completed a chapter. You are moving forward into something here. It's kind of like a graduation energy. And I'm even just really noticing how the World, this woman is naked. She's exposed. She's able to be vulnerable without feeling shame. And that's very, very powerful energy to be in. That's very aligned. That's very masterful. Yeah, because it feels like there was really there's been some triggers that have come up in relationships for you in the past. And it feels like this month you're kind of sorting through things, you're gaining perspective on things, and it's like before where you may have shut down, or like it may have been too triggering or felt like an abandonment, you're seeing it differently. You're seeing things differently. And again, like, honestly, maybe even seeing your own patterns here. Interesting that I dropped the Two of Cups, and when I put it back on the table, it's upright. You're coming back into harmony with people. You're coming back into balance within yourself as well, because that's the thing. If you're not in balance with yourself, of course that affects relationships too, because we are in a relationship with ourselves. But it feels like there's this harmony. It feels like there's congruence that's coming. And it's almost like when you try and let go of this need to fix things, that's actually when the healing can really take place. And even as someone who's like very kind of invested in things like shadow work and like self-growth and self-development, a lot of the time we approach these things almost as like ripping off a Band-Aid or like trying to kill it with a silver bullet. Like, I'm just going to go into my trauma. I'm just going to go in and do this work or have these conversations because that's going to be the quickest way to get there. It's not about rushing the healing. And I really get that for you, Libra. And I feel like that actually brings you closer together with someone. That actually heals your relationships when you can kind of give space for that incongruence. I really feel like it's important to learn about attachment styles because I do feel like a lot of you have insecure, or more specifically, maybe anxious or disorganized attachment styles where there's kind of a lot of monitoring that goes on, is the word that comes to mind. Excuse me. Anything else for Libra? This is actually a really beautiful month too. I know we kind of just went in deep here. We kind of went in for a surgery, but we do have Venus, your ruling planet, coming together with Jupiter this month. This is happening on the 23rd, the same day as the full moon in Sagittarius. This is a very deeply healing conversation. This is actually a conversation that could be really healing some trauma or like healing your relationship with something that you consider taboo. We have the Three of Wands. There could be some manifestations coming in as well. Something really nice in on the horizon. There's more trust here. Not just in relationships, but in life, with the universe, with your angels, with your guides. I meant to say they came in so strongly at the beginning there. I feel like part of this is also you connecting to your spiritual strength. But I do feel there is a manifestation coming in, maybe something that was delayed with the Ten of Wands in reverse. There was just too much weight, too much pressure. That's just what I was saying. And when you kind of let go and release things, it's like when you let it go, that's when it comes to you. Letting someone go, letting a desire go, and not grabbing it so hard can actually let it flow to you. You actually don't need to try that hard. It doesn't need to be this hard, Libra. Relationships don't need to be hard. Manifestation doesn't need to be this hard. And sometimes when you keep trying to manifest the same thing, it's almost putting out the energy of like distrust, or like it's not happening, like you're focusing on what's not happening, as opposed to trusting in what is aligned for you will come into being for you. Yeah, things have been very emotional with the Five of Cups, very in the feelings. And it's okay to release that. It's okay to have those emotional moments. Don't be afraid to feel your feelings. I kind of feel like that might be something that you've been avoiding. Or maybe someone else has been avoiding. Could go the other way too, but oftentimes it's kind of a two-way street. Four of Wands. Yes, there is something that you are celebrating this month. There is some good news or some sort of achievement here. What is this good news? What is the blessing for Libra? The Lovers. So this could literally be about a relationship. This could be about healing relationship wounds or traumas or patterns. Like, the energy is here for it. It might be a surgery. It might be a process. There might be a recovery in this too. And Lovers is also about self-love. Bringing these polarities, these opposites into balance within yourself as well. And even with karmic relationships, that polarity, that soul growth, those challenging relationships very often make us confront different parts of ourselves that are in opposition. These sort of competing needs or competing desires. So I do feel like there's some sort of union that's happening within yourself, and that's going to do wonders for your relationships. Whether you are in a relationship, whether you're single, whether you're not even looking for a romantic relationship, your ability to connect is really a blessing this month. And your angels, your guides are helping you do this too, and maybe even your ancestors, because often our family members, you know, that intergenerational trauma, whatever they didn't heal, they will work with us to try and heal that too. Hierophant, very spiritual energy as I say this. Yeah, I do feel like there's a lot of spiritual support. Some of you are also kind of exploring your own psychic abilities and gifts as well. That's very appropriate for Taurus season and even Gemini season, as you're kind of expanding your consciousness, expanding your awareness, maybe learning about things like astrology, learning about the occult. You're mastering your heart. You're mastering the heart. Anything else for Libra? I'm going to end off with an animal card. Any other messages for Libra? Any last bits of advice or wisdom or messages here? Interesting, the fire ants. This often comes up when there is a lot of tension within a group or an environment, and it's like there's supposed to be collaboration, there's supposed to be harmony here, but there is often a need to cool off and take space. And maybe even address some conflicts, but in a very composed way. It doesn't have to be the end. It doesn't have to be worst case scenario just because there's a conflict here. Any other messages for Libra? Is it you? Any other messages for Libra? Show us clearly, please. Whoa! Buffalo. Very, very grounded, very stable, has a lot of faith. And like, yes, there's this lightning, but this buffalo is kind of unfazed. I actually feel called to read this straight from the book, so I'm going to do that, and I think that's where we're going to end off. Let's read about the buffalo. Grounded yet heavenly, practical yet spiritual, and that is that divine connection. That's this Taurus energy, this Hierophant energy. The hooves of the mighty buffalo are grounded in the earth, yet its heart and mind rise towards heaven. The buffalo sees challenge, hardship, or a bump in the road as an opportunity for upliftment. Therefore, the buffalo does not fear death, illness, or misfortune. Its gentle eyes look to the road ahead, trusting every turn. May we all experience this elusive yet life-changing bliss from time to time, and may we allow this card to remind us that life is a precious gift. When in balance, trusting and pure presence. When out of balance, restless, lacks gratitude, to bring into balance prayer and bhakti, which is this kind of form of pure devotion. So very, very spiritual energy, and honestly kind of felt like it touched into everything that we talked about, at least with having this faith and feeling grounded, feeling that divine connection. You really are in it this month, Libra, and it's allowing you to have this kind of otherworldly grace to deal with triggers that you might not ordinarily be able to deal with, but you've also grown, you've healed. You know, that didn't just happen to you either. But it's almost like you're being graced with this presence. You're letting your wisdom fill your body and your soul. And that is where I will leave it off for you, Libra. I do hope that this was helpful. I hope it wasn't too heavy, because it really does feel like a beautiful, beautiful energy. And honestly, I really tapped into it, and it just felt like that radiant, that bliss is what the description just said with the buffalo. That's a great word to describe what I felt. It's bliss. It's like relationship bliss, and it comes through in a very unexpected way. Anyways, be sure to hit like and subscribe if this resonated or gave you some things to think about, especially if you've made it this far into the video. May as well, right? That also helps you share this message with people who may benefit from it as well, and also allows me to keep putting these messages out for all of you. You can find a link in the description of this video for my website where you can book readings and distance Reiki sessions, as well as find links for all of my other social media accounts. And I will see you in the next video, Libra. I'm wishing you a very happy and blessed and blissful May. Take care.